What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. This is Lila and Lila loves to cook. No, I don't. I told you before. So let's get right to it. Today I'm gonna make chili. It's one of my favorite foods. It annoys my husband so much because I can have it in the summer. I don't care if it's 90 degrees outside or in the dead of winter. It's one of my favorite foods. I'm also gonna show you a unique way that I make the ground beef for the chili. If you're going to make the chili with ground turkey, ground pork, or ground chicken, I would just suggest browning it. You can use the same seasonings, but I won't suggest using the method that I make because I actually boil my ground beef. Yes, I boil my ground beef. And those that I've shown how I boil my ground beef, they do it that way too. Because I don't know about you, but I cannot stand sitting there with the stick or whatever it's called to break up the ground beef. This way is going to be much easier. It also drains more of the fat out. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a little bit of salt. I will put in probably about a teaspoon. I put it in with the meat at first, and I'm going to show you how I do that in just a minute. About a tablespoon of just regular white vinegar. About a tablespoon of lime juice. Any lime juice. If you have fresh limes, that's okay too. About 2 tablespoons of sofrito, and if you look at my channel, I've posted the video sofrito. I'm gonna try to remember to link the video below for the sofrito, but just in case I forget, I don't have a lot of videos on my channel, so it's not hard to find right now. You're gonna need about 2 tablespoons of sofrito, about a tablespoon of mojo criollo. Criollo? Yes, criollo. This is a blend of different, it's a marinade. You can use it to marinate. You can also put it directly on meat and cook it without marinating. So if you can find this, you're gonna find it in your Latin food stores. You're gonna find it in the Hispanic aisle, if that's what it's called. Well, you know, wherever they carry the majority of the Spanish foods, you're gonna find this. You don't have to use this. If you can't find it, it's okay. If you do, even better. You're gonna need about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half, depending on how much you're gonna make. And then I like to put in about, not this much, but about a half a cup of chopped up onions. It can be red onions, it could be white onions. I'm gonna use this for the actual meat. And then later I'm gonna cut up some more onions fresh for just to serve on the table. These are gonna be cooked. All right, I'm using a pound of ground beef chuck. This one is 80-20, but you get whatever your heart desires. All right. You're gonna need a half of this container, which is, this container is 6 ounces of tomato paste. I put a half of it, so 3 ounces of tomato paste in case you have a bigger container. I put about a 1/4 cup of tomato sauce. Anyone is fine. So about a 1/4 cup of tomato sauce. I like my chili with black and white beans. So I like to use black beans and canna lily white beans, but honestly, it all depends on your liking. If you just want to use red beans, that's okay too. It really doesn't matter. It's not going to change the taste. I just wouldn't use garbanzo beans because I don't know about you, but who the hell eats garbanzo beans in chili? And I would definitely drain the water. Do not add the water if you want a thick chili. And I like a nice thick hearty chili, so if that's what you're looking for, drain the water. All right, you're going to use a can of Rotel, and if you want to use this, fine. If you don't want to use this, that's okay too. Don't drain the water on it, but I would use a whole can. This is just the Mexican style lime and cilantro, but I just buy whatever they have in the store. If they have the spicy one, I get the spicy one. If they got a mild, so this is what they had that day. And this, you will add the water. Then you're going to use a can, this is 14 ounces of sliced stewed tomatoes, but this is no salt added. But honestly, if they have the one with salt, get the one with salt, whatever they have. This just happens to be what they had in stock. It's quarantine, so I'm going to take whatever the hell they have and I'm going to make something of it. Do not get the Italian seasoned ones because we're going to put so much seasoning in this food that we don't want to add more to it. So I just get the regular stewed tomatoes, sliced stewed tomatoes. I thought I heard something. And you can add the water to this too. So just dump the whole thing. And then this one is really important. I use fire roasted diced tomatoes. I love the fire roasted diced tomatoes. It gives that chili, that smoky flavor that makes it taste like it's been cooking all day, when in reality you cooked it, you let it sit for 45 minutes on simmer, and you served it at the table. Nobody got time to have chili sitting in a crock pot. If you do, congratulations. I don't, so this is what I use. Fire roasted diced tomatoes. If you can't find them, just use regular diced tomatoes. Okay, I like to use about 2 tablespoons of the chili powder, and then about 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper. With the cayenne pepper, if you want to add more, you can. It just depends on how spicy you want it. I like it with a little bit of a kick, but I like to be able to taste all of the flavors that I'm putting in. So it's totally up to you. If you want to add more, you add more. If you don't, you should add the same. If you want to add less, that's okay too. But definitely 2 tablespoons of the chili powder. And if you want it at least a little spicy, 1 of this or more. Okay, and because I'm Puerto Rican, you know, this is a Puerto Rican spin, or a Latin spin, I should say, on chili. We do add, or I do add, on top of the sofrito, I will add a packet of sazon, a whole packet. There you go. Okay, so you're also going to need about a tablespoon of adobo, and this is the red cap adobo. The only difference with this one is that it includes black pepper, but it doesn't include a lot, so I always add more black pepper. So you're gonna use a tablespoon of this one, and then about a half tablespoon of black pepper. And then lastly, and just so you know, if you go to the store and they only have the other ones, the blue cap means that it doesn't have black pepper. The yellow cap means it's lemon pepper. You could use that, it's totally fine. The orange cap means it has citrus in it. And then the green one is the only one that I wouldn't use for this meal, because it has cumin in it, and we already have a lot of seasonings in there, and cumin is kind of strong. So that's the only one I wouldn't use. So any of the other colors is perfectly fine. And then lastly, you want to use this Mexican oregano. Now, if you can't find Mexican oregano, you can use, it may say Mexican oregano or it may say ground oregano. If you can't find this, then you can use the dry oregano. Either one is fine. I would use about a half tablespoon on this, so 2 teaspoons. But be careful with this, because this is very potent. So I wouldn't use more than that. If you can only find the dry one, just make sure that you break it up in your hand first before you throw it in there. This is just what I learned to cook with, so I never use the dry one. And I don't know how much that breaks up, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to bite into little leaves and things like that. This is not a salt and pepper channel here, let me tell you. Garlic powder, I like to put at least 2 tablespoons. I love garlic powder, it's totally up to you. Be careful that you're not adding garlic salt. Or it's the same thing with the onion powder. Do not add onion salt. Use granulated garlic powder, or onion powder. I use both, but don't use the salt version, because you don't want it to be salty. You got a lot of seasonings going on here, and the adobo has a little bit of salt in it too. So for these two, I add about a tablespoon, okay? Later, I'm going to show you what you're going to use as far as how you're gonna serve it. I serve it with regular oyster crackers, which are these little, you know, the little cute, there you go, chili crackers. You could serve it with crunched up crackers, it doesn't matter. But I also cut up fresh onions on the side, cheese, sour cream, and then I like to either do one of 2 things. I either make my own homemade biscuit bowls, but it's a Thursday night and I work tomorrow. Ain't nobody got time to be rolling out dough right now. Trust me, it's really good. But I also found an alternative. So if you want to make it in a bowl, I use crescent rolls. So get yourself a roll of crescent rolls. I'm going to show you what to do with this in a minute. And trust me, when you make it and you serve it like this, you're going to be screwed, because next time the family's going to be like, I don't want just crackers. Where's my special bowl? I know, because it happened to me. Do not do things unless you want to keep doing them, because the family expects it. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I'm back. I forgot to mention that you actually have to add also about a tablespoon of minced garlic. If you don't have minced garlic, you can use fresh garlic. Just make sure that you dice it up really small because nobody wants to bite into huge chunks of garlic. So about a tablespoon of minced garlic. All right, so what I have here, it looks like a hot mess, but all it is a teaspoon of salt, about a half a cup of those red onions that you saw earlier, and the pound of ground beef. And I have it sitting in water. And I put just enough water so that the meat sits in it, not so that it drowns in it. This meat is already dead. You don't have to kill it. They killed it for you. So you don't need that much water. This is not soup. And we're going to be draining that water. So you don't have to think, oh my God, this chili is going to be watery. No, it's not. We're going to get rid of that. What I don't like to do is season my meat first and then drain it with the seasoning. Because what did you do all that seasoning first? What I do is I boil it in water, and this is how I was shown. And I'm gonna put this heat now in medium high. A couple of things. By doing it this way, what's gonna happen is you don't have to do a lot of work to break up the ground beef. I cannot stand eating something with ground beef and the ground beef is like in balls. I hate that. So this will help you break down the ground beef. It also removes some of that excess grease from the meat as well. So all I do, and I don't do a lot, is see the big pieces like this? I'm gonna just slowly just take my spoon and just go into it. But you know, when you have it browning, you're like this. And also when you're browning, you're only cooking one side of the meat unless you cover it, and it doesn't cook the same. This way the meat's gonna cook all at the same temperature. Once it's cooked, once it actually turns that grayish color, we're gonna drain it. And then I usually cook it just until the onions are done. By the time the onions are see-through, the meat is typically done. So then I drain it, and then I will season it. But I'm not doing much. You see, I'm just breaking up the big pieces. So I'm gonna let this cook. You cook it uncovered, and I'm gonna come back when it's halfway through just to show you where we're at, and then I'll show you after I drain it what it looks like and what the next steps are. Okay, so our meat is cooking. It's been cooking for probably about 7 minutes, and you see that it's up to a boil. It's not done yet because my onions are not translucent yet. They're almost there. But if you see, I really haven't done much as far as breaking up the meat, and the majority of the meat is broken up. And if you find little pieces that aren't, you just, while it's cooking, just take your spoon slowly and just go in there randomly. Like here, I found one big one. And that's pretty much the only one that I found. And I haven't done much since I put the pot, since I put it to boil. So that's how easy it is. Whereas when you're cooking it, when you're browning it, you know, the meat binds together while it's cooking. Here, the water is actually breaking it up for you. So you don't have to do a lot of work. Like I said, you might find a couple pieces here and there that you have to break up, and it doesn't take much to break it up. Like, I'm barely doing anything. I'm not putting a lot of pressure or anything like that. So I'm gonna keep letting this cook, and I will come back as soon as the meat is done. Okay, just to give you an update on the meat, it's just about done. If you see, our onions are translucent. That's what we wanted. All that fat is sitting on the top. Look at that. It's sitting on the top, so we're gonna drain that out. And most importantly, look at my meat. You don't see a bunch of lumps. And I really didn't do much as far as having to break it up. So I'm gonna drain this, and then we're gonna come back and season it. All right, so our meat is all done. Look at it. There's nothing in here. The only thing that I've done to the meat is cooked it with a little bit of salt and the onions. Now is when we're gonna add all our seasonings in. They're gonna come join this party, and we're gonna have a blast. But for right now, there's really nothing in here other than the onions and the salt that I told you about. So first things first, before anything, we're gonna add our sofrito. And you already know, I've told you, it's the holy grail to our cooking. So I put 1, 2. Then we're gonna put about a tablespoon of mixed garlic. And I don't measure, so it's just kind of eyeballing it. We're gonna put in our tablespoon of vinegar, okay? Our tablespoon of lime juice. And our mojo criollo. And I like to shake it before I put it in because it has seasonings and spices in it a little bit, and they will sit on the bottom. So just put that in. Again, if you can't find this, don't worry about it. There's a lot going on here, so you don't have to worry about it. All right, throw in your packet of sazon. That's gonna be for color and a little bit for taste. And here's where we do our special culinary skill of going one time around the pot for seasonings, because that's just how us Puerto Ricans do. Your onion powder, go about 1.5 times around. Garlic powder, I usually go about 2. And this pot is a little bit bigger than, that's how big it is, just so you know how big my pot is, because I'm going around. And if you have a big pot, you obviously want to add a little bit more. Our adobo, we're gonna go 1, 2, done. Our black pepper, 1 is fine. And then again, be careful with this Mexican oregano because it is very potent, so you don't want to put too much. So I'm just gonna go around 1 time. That's it. Now we're gonna move on to our chili powder. And with our chili powder, I put about 2 tablespoons. So 1, 2. And our cayenne pepper, I put 1. But if you want it spicier, be my guest. All right, just a second so I can wash this off my hand. All right, so now I'm gonna mix that all together. My fire is not on right now. I'm gonna turn it on once I get everything in there. I'm just trying to incorporate all those seasonings, and look how broken up my meat is. And it smells so good. Okay. The meat is done, but you want to cook it longer so that you get time for all those seasonings to come together and bring out that flavor. Okay. The next thing I'm gonna add, and I'll explain why I'm pushing the meat to the side, is gonna be my sliced tomatoes, my stewed tomatoes. The reason I put these by themselves first is because these come, you don't have to do this, but I do it because these come really big. Look, you get big chunks, and I like them smaller. So before I put everything else in there, I'll take a potato masher and I'll just mash them because I want them a little bit smaller. I don't want those giant pieces. I want all my tomato pieces to be about the same size. Okay. See that big one I just showed you? That's why. Unless you like it like that, that's okay too. But whatever you want to do is fine. And then I'm gonna add my rotel. Just dump it into the party. They're about to get it right now. And then our diced tomatoes, like I said, fire roasted diced tomatoes, important. You see that charred? That's what's gonna give it that smoky flavor. That's why I like adding that. And it's not chili unless you add beans. And if you don't need meat, you could make all of this and just not add the meat. It's still good too. Because there's not meat in anything else that I put in here. All right. We're gonna add about the 1/4 cup of the tomato sauce. There you go. And then this is our 3 ounces of our tomato paste. So about 1/2 of this container. And that's gonna cook down, so you don't have to worry about it because it's pretty big. So now we're gonna mix all of this together. And it's pretty thick right now. But what's gonna happen is, as it cooks, as I cook it covered, by cooking it covered, that vapor, you know, all the steam is going to create a little bit of liquid. So you're going to have a thick chili, but it's not going to be so thick that, oh my God, it's like you have to eat it with, you know, like you have to cut it. No, it's going to be pretty much a little bit thinner than the consistency that you see now. So everything's in there. And now all I'm going to do, once everything's mixed together. Okay, look at that. Doesn't that look good? I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna cook it on about a low heat, in between low and medium. So it's gonna come to a slow boil, not a full boil. You're just gonna see it bubbling, and I'm gonna let it cook for about 45 minutes. And once that's done, that's it. It's done. You're ready to eat it. So in the meantime, while that cooks, I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my oven, and I'm gonna show you how to make those crescent roll bowls that we talked about a minute ago. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to make my little bootleg little biscuit bowls with this. Trust me, whether you make fresh biscuit bowls or you make it with crescent rolls, they're gonna like it either way. The difference is one is savory, one is sweet, but they both go really well with the chili. So first things first, let's open this. And I can't stand, I don't know about you guys, but I can't freaking stand opening these things. Like, who the hell said that you should open them? Like, you don't, I don't know about you guys, like, I get anxiety. Like, when is it gonna pop? Oh, here we go. All right. So, you get your dough, you know, that I spent days and days kneading and letting rise. And you're just gonna roll it out. And each one, see, you have one triangle, two triangles. But I'm not gonna do that. My hands are clean. And not that I have to tell you that, but they are. And I'm just gonna roll it like that, okay? So you're gonna take two triangles and you roll it. Once you got it rolled, you're going to put it on top of an upside down muffin pan, okay? And you're gonna press with your palm down until it's flat. It's not gonna be like a perfect bowl, but it's gonna hold your chili, and you're gonna serve your chili on top of it, okay? And you're just gonna keep pressing, because it's gonna be a little thick, and you're gonna keep pressing until you get it down the sides. There you go, almost there. You want it to be even, so if you see one side's really, really thin and the other side's really, really thick, then move some of that dough over because you want them to be even, okay? Now I'm gonna go make the other ones, and I'll come back when they're all ready to go in the oven. See? I'll be right back. Okay, I made 4 of the biscuit bowls that I told you about. I'm gonna put these in the oven, and you're gonna cook them according to the directions on the actual tube. So it's 375 for 12 minutes. That's how long I cook it in my oven, but if I were you, I would definitely keep an eye on them because it can go anywhere from 9 to 12. It just depends on your oven, but follow the directions on the container. We're almost done. This is all I'm waiting for, and then we're getting ready to leave. All right, so look what's done. Our nice, thick, hearty chili. All the meat is broken up. All your tomatoes, the beans are done. It cooked for about 45 minutes. So I'm waiting on my fake crescent roll bowls. I call them biscuit bowls, but these are actually crescent roll bowls. And then we're gonna serve. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you exactly how I put everything together. Be right back. You know what time it is. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Look at that. You can't tell me that shit don't look good. Look at that. You got the biscuit bowl, the chili. I put my sour cream, my onions, the cheese. When you serve this, look at that. Oh, it's so good. Your family is gonna love it. Disclaimer, you're screwed. I started cooking back in, when my daughter was like 2. I've been living in the kitchen since. So, let's try this. It's hot, but it's really good. Look at that crescent roll. It is so good. I hope you try this. Make it for your family. I hope you enjoy it. Sorry, I'm like salivating. My mouth is watering at the same time. But definitely, it's an easy recipe. Just throw it all in the pot. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. If you have any suggestions for meals you want to see on future videos, leave them down below too. I'm having a blast. But don't blame me when you get stuck in the kitchen 20 years from now, because that's where I've lived. Like always, don't forget to smile. Looks good on you. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.